Established is a consultancy that helps organizations with their innovation, startup, and communication strategies. We act as a force multiplier, giving our clients the ability to go above and beyond to accomplish greater goals than they would alone. Our mission is to, wherever and whenever possible, discover, promote, foster, connect, build, and/or fund innovation that can change the world for the better. We help companies, organizations, and cities to develop, create, and execute successful strategies. The team at Established has been working in the startup ecosystem and innovation space for almost 2 decades. One of the things that has put Established on the map is our ecosystem strategy and the events and experiences associated with helping clients bolster their ecosystem exposure. Some of the various methods by which we provide exposure are our podcasts, virtual events, blogs, social media strategy and execution, and our daily Dealflow newsletter, which continues to grow and currently reaches over 74,000 recipients. Established also produces and promotes events on behalf of our partners and clients. Additionally, one of the programs we've been working on the longest is our Startup of the Year program, a year-long program that searches the country for a geographically diverse set of startups from all backgrounds, pulling them together to compete for the title of Startup of the Year. The program includes a number of in-person and virtual events, including our annual South by Southwest Startup Pitch event and competition, all of which culminate at our annual Startup of the Year Summit, where the Startup of the Year winner is announced, along with an opportunity at potential investment through our investment arm called Established Ventures. Much of our work, though, is helping to provide startups with the connective tissue to help them be successful. We partner with investors and other organizations in ecosystems around the country, and in doing so, provide opportunities to startups with those various partners. Established also works with clients on branding, communication strategy, digital agency services and development, and more. With some of our clients, such as AFWorks and the NASA iTech program, we assist with research and development by fostering ecosystem connections, communication strategies, and startup sourcing to engage the startup community and solve some of the problems facing their organizations. So Established is here to help you find and source innovations that will help you meet your goals faster. Connect with us today to learn more.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. I'm Jen Consalvo.
And I'm Frank Gruber, and we're the co-CEOs of Established. Thank you so much for joining us. I know it's a busy time of year, holiday season. Things are kind of in full swing, and here we are. You're watching us today, so I appreciate you being here. For those of you who didn't catch the beginning portion of what we just showed you, Established is a consultancy working with companies and organizations of all sizes, and we help with innovation strategy and ecosystem development work, all their efforts, as well as clients large and small. The Start of the Year is one of our favorite programs. It dates back to our previous company, if you aren't familiar, tech.co. And we've had a lot of fun building this community. It's a community of innovators. We actually have a number of different resources, including events like this, and we're excited about today.
Yes. Through our Startup of the Year program, we're able to provide a global platform where founders and their teams can share their work, while at the same time, they can connect to our network of industry experts, investors, ecosystem builders to further grow their business. So our intention has always been to support and elevate diverse early stage startups, and we remain steadfast in advocating for equality. Today's competition marks the culmination of our 2022 Startup of the Year Grow Your Startup series, and we're excited to provide this opportunity for these companies, which you'll meet in just a few minutes.
Yeah, we've got 5 companies today, and they'll be pitching innovators. These innovators will be pitching actually a group of expert judges in a fast-paced Q&A. We're excited because these companies will ultimately, one is going to fast track on to our 10th annual Start of the Year Summit, which is 10th, yeah, right? I can't even count, not that high right now. 10th annual, which is actually happening next year. So we're getting that lined up. We're going to be announcing that soon. We'll also have a People's Choice Award today. For those of you that aren't familiar, or maybe you are, maybe you voted online and social media. It's been running for the past couple of years or couple weeks. We've had millions of votes. Millions. But yeah, we're excited about that.
Yes.
A lot going on.
I can't believe it's been 10 years. We've been doing this for a long time.
We've been doing it for longer. We started counting 10 years ago.
Yes, that's true. We called it something else before that.
Yeah.
But Summit is that culmination, as I said before, of the whole competition and different elements that we pull together, where the Start of the Year title is announced.
Can you believe we did that at the beginning of this year still? That was this year still.
So we did the 2021 Startup of the Year competition in January of 2022. So it was not that long ago. And so we're working on the next one now. So that competition that I just mentioned was in Tampa, Florida. So hopefully some of you were there. Some of you have seen what takes place. But for those of you who have not, we're working just as hard to make it as impactful as ever. We're going to be offering curated matchmaking. So we pull together hundreds of meetings between startups and investors and other leaders. We have fireside chats, we have Ask a VC sessions, networking, the competition itself, and more. It's a really great time.
A lot of fun, and we couldn't do it without the support of our partner down there, which was Embark Collective, and we're working on our next partnership, which we'll be announcing soon. In the meantime, though, I wanted to mention that we also have Established Ventures, which is going to potentially invest in some of these companies from our community. It provides a way to offer this to some of the community members and some of the companies. And to date, we've invested in 10 investments in different companies. We had one exit this year, which we're excited about. Last year, we also had an exit, so we feel pretty good about the future and some of the companies we're looking at, and excited about 2023.
All right. So if you're a startup and you're not part of the startup of the year community yet, or if you're an investor or you advise startups and you want to be part of the community,
or we invite you want to get to learn what we're even doing.
Right. We invite you to learn more and join us. There are some links on the screen. And then, as Frank said, stay tuned, sign up, so you'll be the first to know when we have our big announcement. Big announcement.
Big
announcement.
Yes. And if you're interested in connecting, obviously the links are on the screen right now. You can also, if you're on your phone, just go to est.us/get connected. It's a short link which will take you to a place where you can find us and connect in all these different ways. We've got some great different ways to connect. As mentioned, we've got the newsletter, we've got the Startup of the Year podcast, where we crossed 100 episodes this year. So lots of good stuff. Some of the sound bites from today will actually probably end up on the podcast, so that's kind of exciting. So be careful what you say; it may end up out there.
I want to be like one of those YouTube stars right now and say, like, see this subscribe button, just hit subscribe.
Hit subscribe somewhere. Yeah, we don't have that, I don't think, but we could add it. Maybe we could add it maybe next year. Next year we'll work on that. And we also have our daily deal flow newsletter, which is great for startups trying to invest or find investors. You can basically we promote companies and try to showcase them. We've been doing that through social media as well on our Instagram. So look for us. Startup of Year is kind of out there everywhere. And if you're interested in supporting anything that we're doing, including our summit, which is coming up, just email John at est.us.
All right. So before we introduce our judges, let's get a little sneak peek of what to look forward to with our events. Check it out.
All right. All right. That doesn't get you going. I don't know what will. Maybe our sweaters.
Just you wait.
Just you wait.
All right. So it's time to introduce our incredible panel of judges. First, let's welcome longtime friend, former colleague, Rich Malloy. He is the managing partner of Springtime Ventures and has had careers in finance and sales, and of course, working with Established.
Did you echo his name? Malloy?
I did. Malloy.
I love it. I love it. Better than walk-on music. The Echo, last name Echo.
Malloy. Great to see you again, Rich.
Great to see you guys.
All right. So one thing to mention about Rich, I've always loved this about you. Your mission, you have this personal mission to rebuild the American dream through entrepreneurship. He's focused on working with and investing in early stage startups, and we're really excited to have you here. Thanks for joining us.
Awesome. Thanks for inviting me. It means a lot to me. So it's great to see everybody.
You too. All right. Next up, I'm going to introduce Monique Idlet Mosley. Monique is a founder and general partner at Rain Venture Capital, which is an early stage investment firm which focuses on women-led and minority-led startups. She's also got a really interesting background. Prior to that, she was the CEO of Mosley Music Brands and Mosley Music Group, which is, has had a roster of multi-platinum artists, musical artists, Timbaland, Nelly Furtado, One Republic, and many more. And I think she's partially responsible for that song that's in your head from Nelly Furtado that you just couldn't get out back in, like, around 2006 time frame, where I'm like a bird, I want to fly away. That one.
The one that you couldn't get out of your
head. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know where my soul is. That one. Yeah, I don't want. I mean, it's a great song. Now I just want to sing it. Anyway, we've all probably belted that out in our car at some point. Welcome, Monique.
Thank you all so much for having me. I'm so excited to meet these founders and learn more about their companies.
Absolutely. Thanks for being here. And last but not least.
All right. And I'd like to welcome to the stage Peter Alimas. Peter is the founder and general partner of Alimas Ventures. Prior to founding his firm, Peter was the chief development officer for family dental care. Can't wait to dive into that topic, where he helped scale and operate the business to become the largest private dental group in Chicago. He started his career as an investment banking analyst in New York at RBC Capital Markets. And Peter, we're very excited to have you back with us.
All right. Thank you, judges. And thank you, Peter. Oh, he's on mute still. Okay. That's okay.
Oh, hey, guys. Yeah, excited to be here, everybody. Thank you for having me. I was just going to say, I went to the summit in Tampa, and it was just, you guys have an amazing group, spectacular community, and excited to be here.
Oh, thank you. We appreciate it.
Yep. Yeah, one of our portfolio companies won in Tampa, so that was exciting.
Oh, wow. That's great. That's fantastic.
Awesome news.
And it's also worth mentioning that your partner in Rain Ventures has been basically a judge, startup judge, for the last 9 years running. So
yeah, Eric is amazing.
We appreciate that. Yeah. So
big supporter.
Yes. Thank you so much. All right. So here's how it's going to work. We're going to get started here. We want to get everyone going here. We've got a lot to get through. So we've got 3 minutes pitches from our startups. Each startup, you'll see a pitch from them. And then they're going to be 5 minutes to engage with you in Q&A with our judges. And then after that, when you kind of get wrapping up and when there's about a minute left, we'll have a little bit of some kind of a nudge, I guess you could say, a gentle nudge.
Timer.
A gentle nudge. Yeah.
And here she is.
Yeah, she is. Bessie. Bessie's back.
Been a while, Bessie.
Been a while, Bessie, but we've missed you. But it's great to see her. She's doing okay. And I heard she moved location. She was out in Colorado. Now she's on the East Coast. So that's kind of fun.
That's so nice.
Yeah, we keep track. All right. All right. Our first startup, we're going to get going here. Everyone ready for this?
We're ready.
We're ready. Okay. Our first startup is Arise from New York, New York. Let's watch their pitch.
Hi, everyone. I am Amanda Diambra.
And I'm Joan Zong.
We are the co-founders of Arise, where we are providing comprehensive and inclusive care for eating disorders and mental health.
Amanda and I both come to this work out of our own personal experiences. I developed an eating disorder my freshman year of college. Before that, my family never talked about mental health, let alone eating disorders. And it was a long journey of navigating the healthcare system on my own. And, frankly, being really not served effectively and not supported. And just took many, many years to really, truly find recovery.
I started with being diagnosed with OCD when I was 12. And from there, it's been 20 years of ebbs and flows with mental health conditions, depression, anxiety, eating disorders, you name it. And for me, eating disorders were really the hardest part to always dig out of. I experienced a pretty acute period in my teenage years, ended up in a partial hospitalization program, which I was fortunate to get because reality is in this world we live in today and 20 years ago, it's much the same. People who look more like me are the ones who are more likely to get care, which is really a flawed system. And so having lived through these experiences myself in those teenage years, in my 20s, the thing that kept coming up was not only how do we really support folks in ways that are going to be addressing why this is actually happening for them and all the things that contributed to it in their life, in their past, in their experiences, but also really be inclusive and validate the experiences of those who haven't been seen or heard in their experiences with eating disorders or mental health more broadly.
It's not a niche problem. 30 million Americans will develop an eating disorder in their lifetime, 5 million a year.
That has enormous implications on our society and on our economics. We're talking about $64.7 billion that are associated directly with eating disorders every single year. This is something that is the second deadliest behavioral health condition after opioid addiction. And yet there are not sufficient options for people.
So what is Arise? Arise provides comprehensive person-centered support. And what that means is we allow folks access to not only community care, which is inclusive of a care advocate and peer support groups, but also clinical care. That clinical care team can include the therapist, the dietitian, psychiatrist, and a medical physician.
And so in order to unlock access, which we all know is such a challenge for getting mental health care, we are partnering with health plans and importantly, also working with health plans to move towards value-based care arrangements so that we can include the community care support that we have seen to be so critical to healing and make that a part of what Arise is delivering for them. So when we think about the opportunity for Arise to not only impact people's lives, but also to meaningfully change this much needed part of behavioral health care and be a part of that wave shift to really open up more access, more affordable care for people, that's what we aim to do.
All right. That's really interesting. Welcome to the screen. We've got Amanda.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, hey, how's it going?
Great to see you. Love the sweater.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's for the holidays. All right. So thank you so much. Judges, please raise or wave your hands, either virtually or in person, if you have a question. So who wants to jump in and ask their question first?
I'll jump in.
Go ahead.
So, hi, Amanda. Thank you for the work that you're doing, and thanks for sharing. I'm curious about who pays for this. How do you charge them? And what's the let's talk about the business model, please.
Yeah, absolutely. Such an important question. So, a big reason that we are building this is to create more accessible and affordable care because much of eating disorder treatment today is completely inaccessible in part because it's so expensive. We're looking at an average of $250,000 on average for somebody to get to recovery. And that's only for the 10 to 20% of people who get into care. So for us, it was really important that from the very beginning, we be making this more affordable, which means partnering with health plans. So really what we are doing is aiming to partner with health plans in kind of alternative payment models. So for getting us out to market and starting to see folks, we have gone in just as a provider. We're in the fee-for-service world, but really where we're going to capture value and be able to support people is by working with health plans in these alternative payment models, such as a case rate, where we're able to look in a comprehensive way at all the different aspects of care. Because our model includes community care, it includes clinical services, how can we really bundle that into a single rate? That means we have the flexibility to support people in the ways that they need, and the insurance coverage is there so that it's actually accessible and they can continue to engage in that care.
Great, thank you.
Go ahead, Monique.
Nice to meet you, Monique.
Nice to meet you, Amanda. Thank you for your presentation. Kind of going off of what Rich just said, I feel like I still need some more understanding as to what the actual business model is. Arise is, and we do, right? Like just a simple understanding.
Yeah, absolutely. So Arise is delivering comprehensive and inclusive eating disorder and mental health care. We are partnering with health plans to make that care affordable and accessible for the 90% of people who are living with eating disorders but not getting care today.
And when you say you're helping facilitate, that means what?
We are actually delivering the care. So that's right. So our care teams include care advocates, therapists, dietitians, physicians, and psychiatrists. And together they are collaborating on individualized care plans for every single person that comes into us. And we are actually the ones who are delivering that care virtually to those individuals.
So your client is actually the person who's being affected, and the fee model is you're charging the insurance.
That's exactly right. Because this is so expensive for people to pay out of pocket, that's a limiting factor. Most people aren't getting into care because it's so expensive for them to pay out of pocket. So we partner with health plans from a business model perspective, so we can unlock our ability to go to the individuals such as myself who have lived with eating disorders and say, hey, we can bring you in and support you and deliver this care and bring you into our community. And it's going to be affordable because it's covered on the back end by insurance.
How are you getting access to your customer base since it is a privacy?
So it's a kind of combination of different things. So one is from a marketing perspective, it's really important that we be able to go directly to those people who are actually living with eating disorders and speak to them and validate their experiences. So direct to consumer marketing is important here, building a really strong brand that represents, the actual experiences of people of all different backgrounds and identities, and saying to them like, look, what you are going through is valid, it matters, and you are not alone, and there is care available to you for this thing that you're going through. So direct to consumer channels are important, as well as referral partnerships. So as we get into new markets, we are looking at university mental health centers and local providers and other kind of groups, community groups, mental health organizations in the area, so that we can partner with them. And as they have people coming to them and surfacing with disordered eating and mental health needs, we can connect them to the right care as well.
Thank you.
Of course.
Peter.
Yep.
Thank you, Amanda, for your presentation and for the work you're doing. So 2 questions come to mind. So is your model more of like a telehealth model, or is it more of like a ZocDoc model where you're connecting them with an in-person clinician?
No, so we are actually fully delivering the care. The care team members are a part of our team. So this is not a network connecting you to the right care. We are actually delivering that care. And that's really important because care for eating disorders is so complex and requires many different providers, and it requires real personalization to address the complexity of these needs. So we are bringing those folks into our care team and delivering the specialized care for those individuals. So, and it is all virtual, to your point, in part, again, because of access. A lot of people aren't getting into care because it is geographically limited.
Okay, thank you. And then my last question was, are you guys prescribing? And if so, how do you feel about the recent cerebral fiasco?
In like 10 seconds, because time
Yeah,
is
for sure.
Oh, sorry.
So I will say, one of our key pillars in our OKRs is sustainable member growth, because we believe very strongly that you need to be sustainable in the way that you are growing a digital health model in order to prioritize both the member experience and the provider experience. So, there are definitely things that have gone wrong as we've seen digital health companies just scale very, very quickly. And so we take a more intentional pace to growth and really focusing on getting the care right and supporting our providers.
wonderful.
That's really
Thank you,
great.
Amanda.
Thank you, Amanda.
Thank you so much.
All right, great questions.
All right. So next up, we have Every Key from Cleveland, Ohio. Let's watch their pitch.
Hello, I'm Chris Wentz, founder of Every Key. We're replacing passwords and keys because, let's face it, they're insecure and inconvenient. I have a big bulky key ring, and I've got hundreds of different passwords that I've had to write on this piece of paper to remember. By the year 2025, losses due to password-related data breaches are expected to grow to $10 trillion. Today, let's get rid of this broken and outdated access control and replace it with something better. Introducing Every Key, the universal smart key that replaces your passwords and keys. Every Key unlocks your phone, your computer, the door to your office, your car door, and much more when you're close by. It also generates random and secure passwords for your website accounts, your email accounts, bank accounts, any other online account that you use. It then logs you in when you're around and locks everything back down and logs everything back out when you walk away, so your devices and accounts are safe and secure. Every Key is both a security key and password manager all in one. But that's just half the story. Other security keys need to be plugged into your devices. Not Every Key. Every Key is fully wireless. We've cracked the code on Bluetooth communications. Typically, Bluetooth is slow, can take 5 to 10 seconds to connect. It's unsecure, and worst of all, it's typically one-to-one. We've solved these problems and have made Bluetooth incredibly fast. It takes milliseconds to connect. It's incredibly secure with 4 layers of military-grade encryption. And best of all, Every Key can connect to an unlimited number of devices simultaneously. We've been issued a utility patent on this groundbreaking technology, and the market has spoken as well. Companies and consumers love Every Key. We've had some remarkable traction. We've generated over $2.5 million of revenue, shipped over 30,000 units, all at an 88% gross margin. Every Key has even been featured in major press outlets like the Wall Street Journal. But this is all just the beginning. There's a massive enterprise opportunity for Every Key. Today, employees are creating their own passwords, remembering those passwords, sharing those passwords insecurely, and locking down their devices manually. This creates a nightmare for the IT department. The enterprise is now vulnerable to phishing, social engineering, data breaches, and ultimately huge financial losses. EveryKey solves these problems, and it can even generate secure passwords for an employee to use without the employee knowing what the plain text of those passwords is. How cool is that? EveryKey is solving a big problem, so of course we wanted to assemble a world-class team to make this dream a reality. I'm a serial entrepreneur with a computer science degree, and I've invested $300,000 into EveryKey myself. My business partner, McKelvey, has managed operations for multiple Fortune 500 companies, and we're joined by investors and advisors that are industry legends, including the former VP of Verizon, the former president of Chrysler and General Motors, and even the founder of XRP, one of the largest cryptocurrencies, just to name a few. Welcome to the revolution of access control. Welcome to EveryKey.
All right, welcome to the stage, Chris Wentz. Let's
Hey, thanks for having me, guys.
From the judges. That was very enthusiastic. I loved it. All right,
Thank you so much.
Who wants to start us off?
I've got a couple questions there. Looks like Monique and then Peter.
Chris, thank you so much. That was actually just an amazing presentation. I loved how you got right into what the company is, what you're solving, and why you're different. Is this a D2C business model, or how are you selling right now?
Yeah, so it started out that way. We originally launched on Kickstarter and Indiegogo, broke the records for on both those platforms for the most funded smart key product, which we were super enthused about. But now it is more of a B2B product. We're certainly targeting enterprises and government customers at this point. We actually were just selected for a $1.25 million Air Force contract just recently. So taking more of the enterprise and government approach at this point.
Thank you.
Peter, go ahead.
Thanks, Chris. Really appreciate the enthusiastic presentation and to echo Monique, very to the point and direct. So I have two questions just based on that. So are you now looking to, get mostly into government contracts, or do you kind of see this into a wide range of consumers? Like sort of how do you see this?
Yeah, I really see the government and the enterprise customers kind of both using EveryKey for similar use cases. Employees are creating bad passwords within these organizations. They're not sharing those passwords securely. Employees even having access to the plain text of these passwords is a problem as well. So EveryKey's platform really just allows for employees to use passwords without knowing the plain text of them, share them securely within the organization. And that could apply to a hospital where doctors and nurses are having to, type in passwords to access computers, forgetting to lock those computers back down when you walk away. It could apply to banking and other financial institutions. The applications here are quite broad, but we do have a few kind of select, target markets to go after here first. But I think that just about every enterprise obviously struggles with password mismanagement. There's over $2 trillion being lost every year today due to password mismanagement, and that's being lost by government and enterprise customers.
Thank you. And just last question, where do you manufacture your product?
Yeah, we're based here in Cleveland, Ohio, and we manufacture out of Eastlake, Ohio, which is just east of Cleveland.
Awesome. Thank you, Chris.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you.
All right, Rich.
Chris, I'd love to hear a little bit more about your background and how you got into cybersecurity and this product.
Yeah, great question. So I'm a serial entrepreneur. I started my first company way back in middle school, actually, and it was kind of a video game like tournament website where we would match video gamers with each other. And throughout high school and then college, I started a few more ventures. Most successfully, I was able to resell iPads and other Apple products internationally to countries that didn't have these products as early as we did here in the US. And so I was able to, based off of my earnings from those previous ventures, I invested $300,000 into EveryKey. When I started the business, it was actually originally just an idea in an entrepreneurship class, if you can believe that. So we were in this entrepreneurship class. I was studying computer science. The professor asked us to come up with a business idea. We came up with the idea for EveryKey and thought, wouldn't it be cool if Apple or Google were to pursue this? But the professor shook our hands and said, guys, you should pursue this. And that gave us the confidence, and he offered to invest some money as well. And that gave us the confidence to move forward with it as a business.
Great.
Interesting. Do you guys see this? Do you see this ever being embedded in like people's hands or something? I worry that I might lose the key. I don't want to lose the key.
Yeah,
I
certainly.
can't find my keys sometimes. Like, I don't know, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. So today we do have a key ring accessory, so you can put every key onto your keys if you still onto your key ring if you still have a couple of legacy keys there, and we also have a wristband accessory that we offer as
Oh,
well.
there you go.
And yeah, we're certainly looking into implantables and also software only solutions as well here. So we are going to be releasing a version of every key where you can just download an app on your iOS or Android phone, and now your phone becomes an every key to everything else. That wasn't possible up until the most recent versions of iOS and Android, but now it's possible, and now we're working on kind of rolling out a software only solution as well.
That makes more sense and less aggressive on my hands. And
Right.
I just have one last quick question.
ahead.
What's the price point?
Yeah, so we charge $49 for the product, and that includes 1 month of subscription. After the first month, for consumers, it's $5 per month. For businesses and government customers, it's $10 per user per month. They get a little bit of extra feature set ability to manage all of their different employees.
Thank you. Congrats on what you have built.
Thank you so much. It means a lot.
All right.
All right. Thank you, Chris. Judges, if
you
you
guys so
want
much.
to take a moment to complete your votes.
All right.
That's so exciting.
That is exciting.
It goes back to I was just thinking about the whole entrepreneurship class. Like I have friends who are, their kids now are starting college and taking these things and starting to pitch their own ideas. And it just goes to show like it's never too early.
No, it isn't. It's so true. Technology's out there. Kids are learning how to do STEM and everything really early. So 3D printing things and all that. So it's really cool. All right. So our next company, our third company is competing here today is Hello Helper, and they're from San Juan, Puerto Rico. And let's watch their pitch.
An app that lets you book anyone you need, when and where you need it. Hairdresser, cleaner, plumber, tour guides. Sounds complex? We've simplified it. Hello Helper is the social app for the on-demand economy, made for every local community globally. Why are services we can get from an app still limited? Better yet, why limit the worker's earning potential to driving, delivery, or niche into types of services the app supports? Hello Helper grew out of the aftermath of Hurricane Maria, when communities and livelihoods were decimated. Housekeepers or tutors forced to drive for Uber because that was the only on-demand work available. That's nonsense. Let people offer any service they're good at, then make it easy for people nearby to book them. We built a platform that's simple, engaging, and inclusive, connecting both supply and demand of the on-demand gig economy. How do we know it's the future? Our year one study showed workers using our Helper app had a 33% boost in income over the annual average in Puerto Rico. So a cleaner earns $25 per hour using our app, or $8.50 an hour at a local hotel. Imagine the socioeconomic impact in every country with workers in the gig economy. A community expected to reach 78 million by 2023. US consumers spend already $57 billion per year in the on-demand economy. To capture that, we are using peer-to-peer transactions. Hello earns 20% per transaction, plus a convenience fee, shared between users, 5% for Hello app customers, and 15% for Helper app users. Lower cost for both drives up transaction value to the same level of marketplaces like Amazon. By building around user supply and demand, we gain the same network effect expansion as social media apps, allowing for lean operations, global scalability, and high transaction volume. I'm January Strondina, CEO and co-founder. My co-founder Alan Berg's background in theoretical physics, finance, and algorithm development is seen in our business structure and high volume revenue model. My UI UX product development, lean management, AI marketing, and data analysis is seen in our company's current footprint. What's next? Web Summit Lisbon gave us the opportunity to validate our easy expansion per user demand. While showcasing for the future of work, we introduced a social game that highlighted a local tour guide. Adding Portuguese into our smart chat showcased seamless conversations between attendees and the Portuguese worker. Today, we have a growing worker community available for Lisbon customers. Refugee attendees asked how they can bring our Future of Work app to their new communities. By 2023, our affiliate program will enable partners in expat communities worldwide. For this, we're raising $1 million via SafeNote with an attractive valuation cap. Come say hello to the world's future of work and convenience.
welcome to the pitch here, and let's hear those questions from the judges.
Who's first?
Who's first?
Dan, I'll jump in. Good to see you. What I'd love to hear is, first of all, I'd love to hear about monthly retention on both sides, the supply and the demand side. And also I'm curious about like, what are the best gigs that are out there, and what are the best for the workers, and what are the best for Hello Helper?
Yeah, great question, and good to see you, Rich. Okay, the first question, let me just go reverse here. So in terms of the most popular gigs, actually, we put that in the user's purview. So if you download either the Helper app or the Hello app, we've created a live feed that showcases all of the most trending ones, and then also the daily job posts per area that you can share as a user, or you can like and react into. So really bringing in the social factor and empowering both customer and worker on what type of services they might want to add or they might want to request based on their location. And then the first question, can you remind me, Chris?
Monthly retention, or what are your retention numbers on both sides of the economy?
Right. So for the service provider side of things, our retention is pretty high at 90%, because we are the only platform that is actually unlimiting their potential for the on-demand economy. We don't, besides verifying their background checks and then that they can actually do their services, they can add as many services and control the pricing themselves. For the customer side of things, we're about north of 30% monthly active users. And that's with about 1,200 SOM market adoption or market adopters in Puerto Rico, which is our launchpad market.
Interesting. Monique,
Thank you.
go ahead.
Hi, Jan. Nice to meet you. Thank you for your presentation. I wanted to get a little bit of clarity on, I guess you've launched in Puerto Rico. Have you launched in any other market?
Yes. So we launched in November in Lisbon, Portugal, and we used Web Summit to do that. And the reason why that was really important for us is we've been trying to say that, hey, the way we built the tech stack for this, because we are a tech product company, right? The way we did it is to revolutionize what an on-demand platform should be and how the business should work. And so being able to, within days of the summit, expand into the Portuguese market and add Portuguese as one of the languages that are being connected via our smart chat, which is a seamless conversation between an English speaker and a non-English speaker, right? So now if you're in a situation where you might like that service from a service provider, but they might not know English and vice versa, you can still make a booking happen. And so we're creating transactions that way, in a way that no other on-demand platform has done.
Thank you. And then my last question would be, who do you consider kind of like your competitive landscape?
There are a lot of competitors that you would include in our purview. Certainly a lot of the on-demand big giants like TaskRabbit, and the more older ones like Angie's List. But our most effective defensibility is the fact that we are building technology to fit the new model of the business. And that's how we're going about this. We're not just another on-demand app company. We are the ones that is changing the game.
Thank you.
Quick follow-up to that, and Peter, do those other companies offer the translation service?
No, they do not, because they can't. They haven't thought of that, because they built their platforms around one set of users, which is usually the customer side. But what we said is, hey, the workers, we make money off of them too per transaction, so we should look out for them.
Makes sense. Peter, go ahead.
Thanks, Jen, for presenting. My question is, Puerto Rico and Portugal seem like two vastly different markets. Why not just focus on one and build it that way? Or do you feel that the technology is, super, I guess, can be commoditized in all sorts of different markets?
Great question, Peter. Actually, yeah, in paper, they're two vastly different markets. But for our niche market, which actually the way we niched it is who is going to be the first adopters of this. And we figured out that Portugal and Puerto Rico have the same community of expats.
these are customers who are in new places wanting, needing services. And then you've got local workers who don't have access to these customers. And so that's how we are expanding to places worldwide.
Thank you.
All right. Time's up.
All right, judges, take a moment to complete your votes. Thank you so much, Jen. Glad you could join us today. Hopefully it's nice and warm in Puerto Rico. All right, Jen.
Yes. All right. Next up is Shamrock, all the way from St. Petersburg, Florida. Let's watch their pitch.
Hello, I'm Sheffy Robinson, and I am the CEO and CTO of Shamrock. Today, we'll be talking about workforce development for the future of work. But first, I have a few questions. Were you prepared to enter your career when you graduated from high school? How about after college? My son wasn't, and as a concerned parent, I made sure his high school journey included an engineering academy, joining a local robotics club to learn 3D modeling, and petitioning the school board to add a calculus class so he will be successful as a mechanical engineer. The result, Trevor obtained an internship with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers as a senior in high school. This problem goes deeper. The education industry gap is so vast that 70% of students are not prepared to enter the workforce, even at the college level. 78% of hiring managers are struggling with talent pipelines due to the skills gap, and diversity and equity and inclusion efforts are much more challenging without consistent and intentional hiring practices. What if Trevor's experience could be applied at scale to align student talent with business needs? I rallied professionals across EdTech, industrial organizational psychology, sociology, and human resources to create Shamrock, a matchmaking platform that helps businesses connect with vetted high school students for internship opportunities. We do this by helping the student explore potential careers that meet their goals for their future, train students in their career paths to gain knowledge and certifications in high-growth industries, prepare students for the workforce with resume assistance, mock interviews, and career counseling, then manage the engagement of businesses with students in project-based internships for short-term staffing. This connection of businesses to students helps to create the top talent network for early career recruiting. We can save businesses 4 years and over $250K per candidate by upskilling talent sooner. Our target market is small to medium businesses, representing a U.S. market of $142 billion. Our business model is transaction fees from projects at 8%, with students being paid over $10 an hour. Monetizing data in the future will allow us to use predictive analytics for real-time feasibility studies for monitoring talent changes and business needs. Our go-to-market strategy includes deploying the platform to districts and schools at no cost to grow our user base quickly. For businesses, we engage them through chambers of commerce, professional organizations, and economic and workforce development agencies. Our competitive advantage is that we not only connect businesses to students, we train and vet the students based on immediate short-term needs for long-term hiring. We're currently in beta with over 1,100 students on the platform and 25 businesses with $5 million in contract value in our pipeline. We're raising $500,000 to onboard 100,000 students and reach $800,000 in revenue over 18 months. Are your kids and grandkids on track to be ready for their future careers? Does your company have the workforce to sustain growth over the next decade? If you can't answer yes to both questions, you should work with us. We are Shamrock, your talent matchmaker for the future of work.
All right. Thank you. And welcome to the stage, Sheffy Robinson.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Let's dive into questions. Who's first? Monique.
Hi, Sheffy. Nice to meet you. Thank you for the presentation. This is such an interesting conversation, right? Workforce readiness. I was actually a part of the team that presented the bipartisan bill, the first ever workforce readiness to, and so with organizations like Boys and Girls Club, who are getting all the funding around this particular area since they introduced the bipartisan bill, and they're doing it basically at no cost, so to speak, right? In placement with these larger corporations. Like, how do you see Shamrock fitting into that? And, you know, if your target is small to medium businesses, can you help me understand the savings of $250K per employee?
Sure. So there are two questions there. With the first question being about how do we kind of fit into that mode, that method of kind of what's happening. What we're seeing for a lot of the organizations that have these standing programs is that a lot of the information they're providing to students is a semblance of workforce readiness, but it's not moving fast enough to actually make these students workforce ready. It's literally no different than applying some of the information that's already provided in education institutions. And we know for a fact that education moves significantly slower than business. So what we're doing is making sure the skills that are provided to students via the platform and the internship opportunities are industry relevant right now. Not that we're industry relevant 5 years ago. Like some programs are still teaching Microsoft Word as a workforce readiness application, and it's just not. It's dated. So what we do with those organizations is we go in and try to connect with some of their older students, because our target with the student side is juniors and seniors in high school. That's where we're starting. And we try to make sure we're aligning with opportunities that are current. As far as the savings, what we have seen based on some of the data models we've run through our AI is that a lot of the even college students are coming out of college needing years of training to be where they should be if they had 4 years of experience in a certain modality, certain industry. So if a high school student is starting in that particular industry at age 15, even if they do not go to college, they're likely to have more experience than somebody who has an actual college degree in that industry. So that's kind of where that savings comes in. We're doing the upskilling on the front end well before they even go into post-secondary. And then the other issue with that, of course, is the next generation of students are not opting to go to college at the same rate as, say, my generation as a millennial. So the upskilling piece is going to be even more important for businesses going forward, and those savings can be realized a lot quicker.
Thank you.
Peter, fire away.
Thank you, Shelby, for the presentation. Have you been seeing a specific type of industry that is more common? The reason I ask is, at least from my end, like what I see is that a lot of jobs, when you first join, they have their specific way of doing something. So you might be trained in it or skilled in it, but then you get to the workplace and they say, no, that's not how we do it. We do it this way. So, but have you found where there is a specific industry that translates better than others?
It's not necessarily an industry that translates better so much as it's a particular job. The jobs that we're seeing that fit best are around digital marketing, product and project management. How we've kind of addressed that there is to make sure we're aligning students with actual concepts that are being used in the field. That way, no matter what a company is saying, okay, well, we do things this way, that's still a concept that's familiar. Product management may look different across different companies, but product management is still product management. So that's kind of how we're trying to navigate that. Definitely lots of requests from a marketing standpoint is a huge one, just because digital marketing changes very quickly and a lot of businesses just don't know enough about it. So that's been one of the largest requests. Students that have some sort of propensity to know technology as a whole. Automation is also another one we see quite a bit. People trying to automate different systems across their organization and just trying to streamline operations. So we try to use platforms that we know companies are using in the field. So it's not an instance of someone necessarily having to learn a new system so much as they may have to learn a new process.
All right, and we're about out of time. Rich, did you have a quick question to squeeze in?
I'll make it quick here, as quick as I can. It was the goal to have the students go from high school to the workforce. Is there an element of college? How does college fit into the plans, to your plans, if the student has college on their mind?
I'm trying to keep the answer real brief.
Tight. Yeah.
College doesn't necessarily have a it's not necessarily in that mode for us so much as it's what the student wants to do. We're training them to be able to go right into the workforce. So if they do decide to go to college too, that just makes them much more employable.
Wonderful.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sheffy.
Thanks.
Thank you.
All right, judges, mark your scores. And I don't know about you, but my first job, I'll never forget it. They told me the reason they hired me was because of my internships. Because
Oh.
I spent my entire college years doing internships, and I got a job right out of school, and they said it was all because of the experience.
Yeah, no, same here. Our internship turned right into an opportunity. So definitely value in internships, and we all could use it, interns here and there. So I think it's a great program.
Mhm.
All right, ready to go here. Our last but not least, are coming out of Miami, Florida, Storybook app.
Hello, my name is Francisco. I'm the co-founder of Storybook, the #1 parent-child wellness and sleep app. Raising a successful kid has a lot of challenges, and this is probably the worst of them. The abuse of screen time, our busy lives, and the lack of physical affection have massively increased children's mental and emotional health problems, putting 2 out of 3 kids in risk. This was the case of Carla, the mom of 2 boys. Daniel, her eldest, was suffering from anxiety and trouble sleeping, just like other 800 million children. Lucky for them, she found Storybook, downloaded the app, created her account, and told us Daniel's anxiety problems, so we recommended stories for him to listen while mom followed the relaxation techniques just like this.
And touch the moon with their hands. Sarah climbed with short, slow steps, while she thought, will it taste like cheese?
And just like that, Daniel was able to sleep better because there was no screen time. The massage techniques increased the production of melatonin and oxytocin, but the most important thing is that mom was right there, present, providing her love and security to her child, and that's something that technology cannot replace. Storybook is the only app to combine relaxation techniques, bedtime stories, and music to help families bond, relax, and sleep better. Storybook is free to download, and we have a $49 yearly subscription plan. But there's also a correlation between children's sleep, parent sleep, and productivity. That's why we offer Storybook to HR departments. As per our latest study, them told us that their kids are sleeping better, are sleeping up to 4 times faster, and 89% of the parents told us that they are now more connected with their kids. We've been the #1 app in 90 countries. We've been called the best for bedtime by Apple. We have over 2 million downloads, more than 5,000 5-star reviews, like this one from Jessie. We tried everything under the moon to get my 4-year-old to sleep. I am more relaxed, she is more relaxed, no more bedtime fights, can't praise this app enough. Or this one from Oscar. This app has made my nights so much more peaceful, also strengthened our father and son bond. We have sold over $1.5 million in subscriptions. We are set to reach 6 million by 2023 and 100 million by 2026 by increasing our profitable paid social media campaigns, doubling down on organic acquisition, launching new B2B partnerships, and adding influencer marketing. We have fantastic backers like Jason Calacanis and Google, terrific advisors who have been pioneering in research and training on behavioral science, human touch, and sleep, and a fantastic founding team with experience in high-growth tech companies and a big passion to help families worldwide. And we're on track to do for infant well-being what Calm and Headspace did for adults. And these are our own kids sleeping. This is Storybook, the #1 parent-child wellness and sleep app. My name is Francisco. Thank you so much.
Welcome, Francisco. How are we doing?
Hello, hello. Happy to be here. Thanks so much.
All right, who's got the first question here? Let's jump right in.
I feel like I'm always going first, but I guess
Jump
they're,
right in.
they're being polite gentlemen. Thank you. Thank you, Francisco. This is so interesting. We're based in Miami, and I really like what you have done. My question would be in regard to like the churn, how is that looking? And then also, as the children are aging or the different types of methods have been done, and like, do you continue to add for the subscription? Are there like, is there a continuation of growth with the child too? Like, can you help me understand that?
Absolutely. Thanks for the question. So I'll start with the second part first. So we have customers with kids all the way from newborns to 12-year-olds. And the content varies depending on the age of the child. So the younger they are, the more important is massage and physical affection and white noise and music. As they grow, toddlers, typically easy stories start to attract their attention as well with infant massage. But the older they get, the stories get more complex, and some other techniques come along like meditation, guided reading, and other things. But ultimately, the main theme overall is the togetherness. So this app is intended to be used by the parent and the child at the same time. And as a consequence of that bonding time, everything else improves the sleep, relationship with the parent, the kid becomes more happier to do what the parents tell them, the routine gets better. So it's all about this togetherness time. And that's exactly what we expect. We expect to grow with the kids, that there's a lot of things we intentionally are doing for that. We are creating our own IP. All the characters are our own. We want the kids to grow listening to our stories. What we've seen so far is that we have a lot of cohorts of users going 3 years and strong. Like we have a really potent, heavy user base growing. But the natural churn of a consumer subscription app, it's different to a SaaS model or anything else. It's typically around 20% year over year, the renewal rate. We are just there in the average of renewal rates in the category. The gold standard, for example, in this category is Calm. They have 40% renewal rate. So there's still a big room to cover, but even with our first year subscription, we are covering the CAC and being profitable on that very first sale. So even the first renewal adds additional value, and we haven't even started working on renewals and retention and all that second part of the process. So we are following the accounts manual. We have one of their first investors. We have their former VP of product working with us. So there's a lot of low-hanging fruit, but we are there in the middle of the benchmarking with a lot of things yet to be done.
Great.
Thank you.
All right, Peter, jump in.
Thank you, Francisco, for the presentation. So I guess just the way I see it is like Calm, I feel like they can have continuous stickiness because it doesn't sort of limit their age. So for me, it's like, is there an age, like when the child turns 10 years old, then they're no longer a user? I guess like how do you see that? And then do you foresee yourselves getting into, teenagers, young adults, or is it strictly focusing on the children model?
Yeah, that's a great question. And what we see here is that, yes, there will be kids growing up out of age. We are not right now prioritizing going into the teenage years. We think there's a lot of work to be done, and the impact in the first 3 years, even, it's more impactful than anything else throughout life. So our focus is that right now, and there are close to 500,000 children born every day. So there's an evergreen need of a product like this.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Francisco, would love to hear about your background and why is this important to you?
That's a wonderful question, and I'll try to be quick so Bessie doesn't cut us out. I come from the corporate world. Really, my career was everything to me until I realized that my kids were already 3 and 1, and I was missing on them. We had a catastrophic period of our lives at home. Like the family dynamic was really wrong. And the thing that put everything back together was starting to focus on the kids, on being effective with them. And that's why infant massage was so important for us. So that was really the reason. I quit everything else to focus on this. And now we have over 2 million downloads, and we get reviews of parents with the same thing. Like, this has changed our family dynamic. I'm being a more present parent. I can see the reflection of my actions in my kids' behaviors now and their overall emotional health, physical health. So yeah, I moved from one side to the other because of my kids, and now my passion is to take this to the world.
Love it.
Wonderful.
All right, time is up. That's a great answer.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, judges, for those questions. Judges, please take a moment to complete your votes, and we'll get those all tallied up. Those are the 5 companies. That was a pretty impressive group.
Yes, thank you to all of our startups who presented today. I know how difficult it can be to go out there and put yourself out there for the world and for people to literally judge you. I'd love for everyone to give them a round of applause for these incredible startups. Nicely done. All right, and we just want to thank you again in our audience for joining us today. Thank you for everyone who also voted in our People's Choice Award. Don't go anywhere. While we have a few folks who are calculating all of our scores, we're going to treat you right now to a really great panel with our guest judges.
Yes, so stay here and we'll get started right now. All right, so we're going to quickly go around the horn here. We didn't get a chance at the beginning to kind of hear a little bit more about our judges. So please tell us a little bit more about the types of companies you invest in, what your firms are looking for, and a little bit more about what each of you does look for when you're looking for companies. And we'll start again, Monique, then Peter, and then Rich.
Thank you. So myself and Erica, we own Rain Ventures, and we do specialize in consumer tech and SaaS. We are seed stage investors, and we typically lead over half of our investments. We find ourselves, we deem ourselves pretty founder friendly and supportive. As I mentioned before, taking my experience and kind of like creating like this nice safety net for the artists in the music industry that we had, and kind of taking that same perspective with the talented, exceptional founders and just giving them the support that they need at this vulnerable stage.
That makes sense. And just to kind of define that a little bit more, folks maybe just joined, tell us a little bit more about your background and what you meant by the music side of what you were doing.
Yeah, so I had my career in my 20s and built a music label and a publishing company with my ex-husband. And we definitely had this concept of fewer artists and kind of the platinum concept. And that's how Erica and I invest, right? Fewer investments, not kind of the spray and pray that had been put out there previously, and just really give them the support, the access. Founders need access to resources. They need access to network, relationships, and sometimes just advisor perspective. And so we try to provide all of those added value outside of just the actual check.
Great, that makes sense. All right, Peter, go ahead. Share a little bit more about what you're doing and what you're looking for.
Thank you, Frank. So I guess just by way of background, so our family business was one of the largest dental companies in the Midwest, and we built our family office around that. And we initially started investing in dental tech just by nature of the business. And then that led us into co-investing with other family offices and essentially just investing in early stage businesses, seed being the sweet spot, but we've done Series A, we've done pre-seed. And our thesis has sort of been around investing first and foremost in amazing founders, but underlying that is investing in industries that are maybe don't get enough VC investment as they should. We've invested in trucking and logistics, prop tech, like I said, dental, and we're always looking for great deals. We're US focused, so we don't really look outside the US, and pretty industry agnostic.
Okay. Makes sense. Monique, do you look outside the US?
No, Erica and I focus in the United States, and we pretty much have invested everywhere except for Silicon Valley.
Great. Excellent. All right. Last but not least, Rich. Malloy.
So Springtime Ventures is a seed stage fund. We're based in Colorado. We also only invest in the US, and we just closed our second fund, and with our second fund, we dialed in our focus areas from our first fund. So we specifically are investing at the seed stage for fintech and insurtech, healthcare, logistics and supply chain, and marketplaces. And really, we've picked these sectors because we realize we've surrounded ourselves with experts, industry experts, that not only can they help us better understand the startups that we're looking at, but then they can actually be value add to those startups starting from the very beginning. And so we usually bring in our advisors, many of them that are also LPs. We'll bring those folks into the due diligence process, and oftentimes when there's a good fit, then they end up supporting or maybe even mentoring those companies along the way on their journey.
Awesome. So I'd love to hear, we touched on this a little bit, but I'd love to hear more from each of you about what you're specifically looking for in founders and teams, especially at that early stage. Actually, Rich, do you want to, we'll start in reverse order.
Yeah, let's do reverse order.
Yeah. And by the way, Monique, I think it was you had such great questions, and so I think it was great that you were always going first, because I'll cross that question off my list. So those are excellent questions for sure. We have really started to go back to better understanding the founders and their motivations before we invest in them, and we have found that it's such a trope to say that mediocre investor, great market wins, great investor, mediocre market, founder wins, or whatever, however you want to phrase that. But we really truly believe that a great founder makes all the difference. And so you might have a very, not a great problem that's being solved, or maybe you're not super excited about the way that's going, or that any problems that come up, that founder is going to find a way to push through. So we dig in a lot on founder motivations. We dig in a lot on why this problem for them. And we dig in a lot on, we love to see industry expertise, or at least some background. And if you don't have the industry expertise, can you demonstrate that you have learned this industry and can talk about it inside and out? And then leverage that to why you're an unstoppable founder. Because let's face it, it is so hard starting a business and building a company. And then not only are you going to start a business and build a business and grow it, but then you're expected to scale it. And the CEO that you have to be with, just you and your co-founder, is different than the one with 5 employees, than the one with 50 employees, and the one with 500 employees. Those are all completely different people. And so can that founder evolve and continually evolve into those pieces? It's hard to say, it's hard to know, but we do dig in a lot on the founder and their motivations.
Great. Awesome. Peter.
Sorry, I couldn't unmute. Well, I'll caveat this by saying this is Peter's opinion and my experience, right? So I think first and foremost, we've had the most success with founders where they've, for lack of a better word, they've burnt all previous ships. Like, this is their baby and this is what they're doing. When we've had founders and invested in founders that are like, oh, I'm just doing this on the side, or I have a couple other businesses, or I'm employed somewhere else. For me personally, I've never seen it go well. Like one of our recent investments, like our founder is like, he has 3 kids. This is what he does, like 20 hours a day. This is like, it's like do or die. So for us, we have had the most success with founders where they've made it their life's duty to do this and see, their business to succeed. So first and foremost, I think that goes without saying, like when we look at an investment, that sort of check the box has to be in. I think second, he or she really need to be, a people person. They have to, they're going to be the face of the company. And as we keep growing and raising, they need to be able to deal with all sorts of people. So if they sort of like are closed-minded or they don't want to interact, I think that sort of needs to be changed a little bit, because they're going to be the face of the company. And that's, we're investing in a company where that founder, he or she, has to be the face of it. And then I think the third thing is kind of towards Rich's point, they have to be so ingrained in that industry where they have found something or some dislocation in the industry that they are looking to take advantage of. And it's not this like very glib, like, superficial. No, they know the industry is so cold that they figured out this is why we're going to succeed. So I think those are like our 3 like fundamental points.
The last one, you mean like a seam, like they found something that's like they could, take advantage of?
That's right.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
All right, Monique, go ahead.
So everything that Peter and Rich said, and, what I would add is that clearly, like the traditional due diligence, right? The product market fit, the founder team fit. One of the things that I kind of specialize in and really pay attention to outside of kind of like that gut factor when it comes to a founder is the coachability of a founder, right? Yeah. Also, we take time, we start early with founders. We're like in that founder community when they're still just possibly thinking about angels, and we're taking the time to get to know them. We're seeing how flexible they are with the evolution of their business and also their team, including their self and their personal growth. How do they deal with adversity? What is their public image? What are the things that they're prioritizing? I actually don't think that we talk enough about this, is that you are the representation of the business model. And at such an early stage, you may not have the financials to prove. So what we're investing is actually the founding team. And, also one of the things that's really big for us at Rain Ventures is the honesty and the transparency when it comes to the yellow flags so that it doesn't get to a red flag. And so we like to put a lot of effort into the relationship side. So clearly all the traditional due diligence, but coachability is something that's really important, and not so much from the investor side, but whoever may be the expert or the advisors that really need to help you scale your company model.
Great. And just to follow up on that real quick, and we can do it real briefly, the yellow flags, how do you create that ability for them to communicate those yellow flags without, them feeling like, oh gosh, they're gonna, I've always got another round coming or whatever. Is it's gonna hinder
You
me?
usually see so many entrepreneurs trying to hide things,
that.
showing like, nope, I've got it all under control.
We're good,
right?
we're good. And then they tank, or whatever.
So remember, coming from almost 30 years in the music industry, right?
Yeah.
It was my job to get to know the talent, to be able to understand their body language, to be able to create a safe space for them, right? I'm not here to be authoritative. And I think that, with all due respect, the VC world is a very intimidating world, right? It's a very testosterone driven, model. And that doesn't really leave a lot of room of conversation and communication. So one of the things that I saw as when I started investing was there needed to be a safe space for founders that was more like a tough love. But if we can't really know what the problems are, how as advisors and investors do we actually create a place where they can actually solve the problem? So I think that, how we create that is actually being honest with them as to what type of investor we are. But more importantly, we're able to give them 10.5 years of Eric and I investing together to speak to all of the founders that we actually have invested in. And more importantly, the ones that we actually haven't given financial capital to, but still created a safe space for them.
Great. That makes sense. All right.
There's one thing that Monique, I would love to debate with you, because we've actually found coachability as a negative trait. And so we've found that founders that are overly coachable tend to waffle and can't stick to a long-term, can't stick to a strategy and are less capable decision makers. Right. And now, the far other extreme is somebody that it's their way or the highway. And that's not somebody that you can invest in either. And so, I'm just curious about the middle ground there, like threading the needle, right, between somebody that knows when to ask for advice and knows when to seek advice, knows when to seek counsel, but also then can make a decision and go fast in that direction. Right. And doesn't have to stand around and ask 16 people. And so coachability has been a flag for us.
So, I'll say this, Rich. I started my career at 22 as the youngest executive at a #1 company. And I'm here to tell you that all of those C-suites were getting advised every second of the day when it came to big problems. Okay. And so when we talk about coachability at Rain Ventures, they've already met all of the due diligence. Okay. So they have checkbox as something that we are willing to invest in. And what we mean by coachability is that when you are in need of advice or you're in need of a sounding board, you feel comfortable not just going to your team, but also to your advisors and to your investors. So to say that, like, they have to meet the due diligence first. So thank you for allowing me to clarify that, because that's actually what we mean by that. No, we've never invested in any founder that we deem needs to have to ask a question for every type of leadership decision. So that's not even the bucket for us, because we actually would not invest in that team. But it is important to us as lead investors in particular. We have a responsibility and accountability to our co-investors to make sure that we're paying attention to the company and keeping them abreast as well as investors. And so we like to make sure that the leading teams are teams that answer our phone calls if we have a question, or will pick up the phone if they have a question.
I love that. Thanks for
So thank you for that clarification. Yes.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Because, so many times coachability is, comes across as this really soft, mushy, the founder is going to listen to what I have to say, and they're going to, they're going to do what their advisors tell them. But it's,
I have to tell you, it's very interesting to me, this world that I came into 10.5 years ago, with this idea that amazing, exceptional founders are supposed to know everything. When in fact, at almost 50 years old, I like to say I actually know nothing, and I like to sit in that student space. And so I do think that we have an obligation at the pre-seed and seed stage to really create an environment that they're free thinkers and it's accepted, and that they're allowed to kind of test and learn the lessons quickly and then adjust and pivot. So that's what the coachability means to me, the flexibility to evolve, especially when things like what COVID happened, right? All of our founders in our portfolio were coachable because they pivoted in that moment. When others were panicking, they pivoted, and our companies actually came out stronger during COVID. So I think that, I guess from a term perspective, it can be used differently. But I do think that at the seed stage, we have an obligation to be more of a supporter versus a critic, so to speak.
Nice.
That makes sense. All right, we'll switch gears here a little bit onto the next kind of question. And I love the debate, so keep it up. If you have counterpoints or want to clarify anything, please do jump in. So when companies are trying to find you or get connected with you, what are some of the most important metrics that you see, whether it be in email or pitch deck, or how do you like to be, I guess, reached out to kind of have that first interaction? And I guess, how important is that pitch deck to begin with, even for you all now? Who wants to jump in?
I'll
go ahead,
jump in
Peter.
here. So I guess two things. One, I would rather, a pitch deck is important, and I would rather have an email be very concise versus like a 20 paragraph. We haven't even spoken yet. One thing that is important to us is if you're pre-revenue, at least let us know. Like, don't make me dig to find out your pre-revenue. I'd rather find that out, because we prefer revenue, but we can do pre-revenue. But I think a lot of founders that I've seen that are pre-revenue tend to not, mention that from the outset, and they'll just sort of focus on, which is fine, but at least make it known, hey, we're pre-revenue. This is sort of the model right now. We're raising a pre-seed. I think that's more enticing than trying to make things look better. But in terms of metrics, when you're that early, it's like projections are a little useless. You're so early. And I just feel like the main thing is that we'd like to see is, hey, here's the idea. Here are competitors. This is what we're raising at, X valuation. This is our CAC. This is our revenue, if we have revenue, our sales so far. Just very simple, high level items. Because when you're investing that early, at least for us, the main thing we're looking for is how is the founder, and how is the idea? Because that's what you're really essentially betting on.
Yeah, founder and idea. I like that. Who else wants to weigh in on this?
I would also add that, we're also, like, when it comes to the pitch deck, so to speak, for me, it's more about, did you get I like a straightforward type of conversation. Here's the problem. Here's the solution. Here's what our competitive advantage is and why we're going to capture this addressable market. And here's our team that's going to do it. Right. And so I think when you're able to tell that story quickly in a deck, we love the decks. But founders reach out to us all ways: social media, LinkedIn, Instagram. I respond to everything. But we do have like a formal process once we actually, every Friday we have Founder Fridays. And all day long, we're doing 30-minute increments with founders from all over that are just talking to us, pitching us, so we try to keep like a consistency, but then also we're in the events, we're in the founder community, we try to do as much as we can to engage them. And I like a good conversation. I like to know that the founder knows exactly what they're doing. When I've had an hour-long conversation and I have walked away and I still don't understand what the company is, we never have invested in that. So I like for founders to know exactly what they're doing and why they're doing it.
That makes sense.
For springtime, so for starters, how startups can find us is, first of all, they can just go to springtimeventures.com, and on there is a pitch us form. We think that having an opportunity for cold inbound is a great way. We have actually made investments off of cold inbound that have come in through that form, and we think that's a great way to expand beyond the network, beyond just where the network piece there. I also do open office hours. I love that you do office hours, because it's a great way. Like, that's another thing you can find on the website. Matt, Allison, and I, my partner Matt, and our principal Allison, all three of us do office hours each week, and so founders can come in and find us. And I love a good pitch deck. I really do. Peter, to your point about are you pre-revenue or not, or like just say it. One of my rules that I tell founders, it should be their rule for pitching is, don't make me think, don't make me work. Right? If I have to guess, do you have revenue? If I have to try to dig through your deck to figure out what in the heck your business actually does, right? I'm going to see probably 3,000 startups a year, maybe 1,000 startups a year. Right. And, so the more that you make an investor work for the key information, the harder it is going to be just to get a meeting with that investor. And the purpose of the pitch deck is not to win the investment. The purpose is to just get the meeting. By the way, shameless plug here. I have a podcast called the VC Minute that spun out of the Startup of the Year podcast. It started in 2020, maybe?
Yeah, a while ago.
Yeah, on the 20 as literally a minute of Rich talking about fundraising on the Startup of the Year podcast. And so the VC Minute has breathed some new life into it. Was grateful to be able to spin it out of Startup of the Year and have it standalone. And so that, episode 27 is Don't Make Me Think, Don't Make Me Work. And it's one of my favorites.
And you heard it here, just things coming out of Start of the Year left and right every day.
I know you got incubated my own podcast.
Sweet. Love it. All right. So another question for you.
Yeah, it's 2022, the end of the year here.
Yes, it's the end of the year, and it's been quite a year. And this actually builds on something Monique said earlier about flexibility of startups, right? And coming out of COVID. But, even since 2020 and 2021, we've had a heck of a time. And just in terms of the economy, the way that investment has sort of dried up a bit for many startups.
Yeah. I mean, major inflation, you're hearing the gloom and doom on TV and everything about the economy, layoffs. When you're not hearing about Twitter, I guess, and everything going on with that, you're hearing about the crypto company that imploded, right? That was worth billions. So you're hearing a lot of this stuff. It's dried up a little bit for people. I was out at an event in October, major event in our industry, and 200 companies there, all raising. No one's writing checks. Literally no one. I asked all of them. And so I want to get your take, like, what is going on with capital and where do you see it going as we go into the new year? Obviously, knowing December is kind of a slower time to begin with.
I'm going to jump in and another shameless self plug, but I wrote a Q3 market report, which you can get on the Springtime site, analyzing, the effects of the volatility, the effects of what has been out there. And, the data shows that there is a significant slowdown in the pace of investing. And so just taking from the speed at which venture funds were deploying capital previously in 2021 specifically, but really, if you start with, say, Q4 2020 and roll that forward, even Q3 2020 and roll that forward for the next 18 months, the speed was extraordinary.
Yeah.
Raise a fund, deploy it in 12 months, raise a fund, deploy it in 18 months, something along those lines. Everybody has pulled back on that. And so that has just led to a significant slowdown in the number of rounds that are getting done. My theory, I call it the hot or not pool party, right? So either you've got a hot pool party or your pool party is not hot. And so for founders out there, they're going to look at these rounds and it's like, how did this startup raise $5 million when Hello Helper is looking, everybody here is looking to raise $1 million or less, right? And they're looking at these companies that are raising $5 million, wondering what in the heck is going on over there, right? So either your pool party is hot or it's not. And so we're going to really see this effect, I think, and I think it's going to be even more exacerbated next year with fewer funding rounds getting done with larger numbers in those funding rounds. And unfortunately, it makes it harder for great startups that don't need $5 million to get to the next level.
So what was happening before? More pool parties, more hot people? I don't know. More hot pool
People
parties?
were deploying capital much faster, and you would rather be in funds would rather be in 35 startups rather than 25 startups and spread that capital around. So you're hitting so you're hitting more parties, with less frequency or with less, with less time or less dollars invested in each of them.
Makes sense. Anyone else want to weigh in on this? What's going on?
I guess, look, I'll say in terms of like the amount of dry powder out there, there's just like a ton of capital floating around. But to Rich's point, I think the allocation is either being used to invest in other funds or it's being used for more later stage deals where investors maybe feel more safe. So I think if I was a founder, I think one, as investors, we really take the long-term view. We're looking at 5 to 10 years out. We're not just investing for next year. But if I was a founder, I would just keep increasing sales, keep building, because you want to get through this. Because not to be all doom and gloom, but just based on we're being told and what the market is saying, it's looking to be a pretty potentially rough recession. So I think you really just need to keep building, and the capital will always be there. But I think for right now, it's being allocated a little differently than it was, to Rich's point.
Gotcha.
I think the only thing I would add would be, what we always tell our founders and any founder we talk to is that you're actually building your company for your customer. And that should be done in the most lean, most effective and efficient way, getting to cash flow positive as quickly as possible. Even though we have a fund, there is like some PR moment that happened that everyone just thinks like it's the coolest thing ever to like get the highest valuation and raise the most money. And it's like, actually, that's a horrible method, because you need to actually you just can't throw money at a company, right? You actually have to know the business model. You really need to get your customers to pay, and you have to know what you're doing in the most effective way. And so it's like you're building for the customer, not for the investor. And if they wrap their head around that, then they're able to understand that, when you can raise, right? But there's going to be difficulties. And by the way, it's not just the founders, it's us as GPs, it's us as funds, right? Capital's not being deployed right now. And so it's how do we make the most and the best of what it is right now? And how do we get to a safe space? And I think that's for all of us, investors, founders, whatever this community is. But when you're building, you just have to build lean, always.
Yeah. It's a great point. And we should look back to history. Back in 2008, some of the most interesting companies did pop out during that time. That was a bit of a similar situation. So keep working on it and keep going forward, and obviously be super lean. All right, great answers there, and I appreciate that. Next up, we got a couple questions looking at this year and then looking to the future, and then we're going to kind of wrap. So what were you most excited about in 2022? And then looking ahead, what's your feeling on 2023? What are you looking ahead towards and excited about? Could be an industry, it could be a trend, it could be anything.
In 2022, I was excited to be able to present a new way of investing, right? Inclusive investing, where everyone was trying to force us to like categorize ourselves since we were two Black female GPs. And it's like, actually, what we're trying to do and what we're being the example of is how investing should have always been done. Right. So being able to have that inclusive conversation and show a data room and prove that you can actually have an inclusive, diverse portfolio of all types of amazing founders instead of just the 97% of traditional founder that keeps getting invested in is just been something I've like really, really been excited about, because I actually do believe in inclusivity internally and externally. And so that's been just something that I've been really happy about. I'm also very, for 2023, I'm excited to kind of take a deeper dive into, we've been so focused on building Rain Ventures that it never dawned on us that as lead investors, and since we're a newer fund, that the growth in late stage investors may not deem us as valuable as an investor as like the top 10 out of Silicon Valley, right? And so I see that as another challenge, and I see that as another great way to kind of extend our network and grow. And so just like founders, you know, we as investors reach all types of adversity too. And so I'm looking forward to kind of solving that problem too.
Love that. Gotcha. All right. Anybody else want to share?
I was going to say in 22, we were most excited for industries that were getting highlighted in the venture world that weren't previously. For example, like trucking and logistics was super hot this year. And I think it was just a nice trend to see industries that don't normally get highlighted in VC get highlighted. So that was something we were very excited for. I think something that we're very excited for the coming year, I think things are going to get a little more focused and lean, meaning like this year, there was a lot of excitement and frankly, a lot of fluff because everyone was raising, everyone was going out, and it was hard to tell what's legit, what's not legit sometimes. And there's just a lot of things happening. And I feel like for the coming year, things are really going to tighten down and the real winners are going to prove themselves. So I think that's something that I'm very excited for.
Yep. Man, those are such great points. You know, I'll share a quick anecdote for 2022 for springtime. We were excited to do our final close, and we thought, you know, the fundraising market was just as hard for us as it was for for founders. We thought we were going to close on somewhere between 27 and 30 million on a $25 million target, and it just evaporated from August to October. Completely evaporated. And and so we did end up hitting our target, but it was a stretch. And so as a we've moved from nano to micro fund as a micro fund, right? It's every little bit of that helps and makes a difference in the long run. But yeah, we definitely felt that pretty acutely. And seconding, combining what Peter and Monique had both said about 2023, right, is that first of all, you build this business for your customers and not for venture capital. And that got lost in the last, let's call it 2 years, maybe even longer, right? So getting back to building for your customers, building great businesses, building a business, period, turning it into a great business, and then let venture capital support that along the way if it's a fit. So I'm excited for that for the focus to become on the customer and the business again.
Great. Thank you so much for all of your insights. This was really helpful, and hopefully our listeners found it helpful as well. I hate to stop it right now, but we're at time.
We can keep going.
We can keep going. I've got 13 more questions to ask you, but we'll do that another time. We can do that another time.
Did Bessie come on? Where's Bessie?
No, I don't know. I think Bessie's been on my phone just going on off nonstop.
I do think we have some announcements to make.
We sure do. We do. All right. So thank you so much, judges, for being here, for all of your insights, and for all of your time. We really appreciate you. Please don't leave. We are going to pull together a quick photo at the end. So stick around. We're going to be. It should be wrapped up here shortly, and we'll bring you back. So, all right.
All right. So we already we thanked our judges. We thanked our startups, and I think we're going to get started. Frank, yes. Are you going to make our first announcement?
Yeah, I'll make our first announcement. So first, we're going to make an announcement we're going to announce the People's Choice Award, which, for those of you not familiar or just joining us, we had a poll out there in the community over the last couple of weeks, and we had millions of people vote for the People's Choice. And the winner of that People's Choice, if I can get a drum roll, please. Winner of the
I'm gonna turn on my dress for this one.
All right, People's Choice is Storybook.
Woohoo!
Storybook, congratulations. Let's bring Storybook up here. All right, where's Francisco?
There
Congratulations. You got the People's Choice. I'm a big fan of what you're doing, especially with the little one. So I love what you're doing, and very excited for the app. I can't wait to download and try it with our little one. She's gonna love it. So
yes, congratulations. We love it.
Yes. Anything you want to say?
Everyone who voted.
Yeah, definitely. Anything you want to say? Any words or things you're thinking about as you go into 2023 here?
Grateful, to be honest. It's been a fantastic year for us. We moved from Ecuador to the US last year. And it's been a fantastic journey, and really grateful is the word that I will describe what we've been through, the company, the growth, the fantastic reception of our users, and now having the boat, it's fantastic. All the startups were great, so really honored to be the People's Choice Award.
Is there anything you'd like to ask someone if out there in the universe here, like put it out there in the universe, whether you're raising or looking for word of mouth sharing or customers or trying to connect with somebody? What is it you're looking for? How can we help our community here? If you could just share it with us, maybe there's a way for this to get out there, and it'll help you.
Yeah, well, as always, looking for families who are willing to try the app. There cannot be enough time with your kids, especially nowadays that everything is going so fast, and we lost so much of the social component of things. So being present with the kids, having that more marvelous time of, because this is not an obligation, right? We get to do this. We get to put our kids to sleep while we can before they grown up. So outreach to potential parents who might be willing to try the app. And of course, we're always interested of investor meetings, partnerships with CPG brands, with HR managers. So yeah, any way or shape or form you think you can help, feel free to reach out. I'll leave my details here. And yeah, again, grateful.
Fantastic. And I hope to see, I love this from a children perspective, but when I watch the video and the massage and whatever, I need a version for myself. Sometimes I feel like your head's spinning and you're like, I definitely need that massage and the nice calming stories that could help me sleep better.
Well,
7 minutes would be great.
Congratulations again. We're really excited for you. And here, everyone out there, Storybook, check them out.
Yes.
Congratulations. All right. Next up, I think we're ready to announce the winner. I've got my glow going here.
Yeah,
the winner of today's Startup of the Year Grow Your Startup Pitch Competition, including a beautiful gold microphone.
Solid gold. Maybe
and the winner also advances as a semifinalist in our Startup of the Year Top 100 semifinalist competition. So hopefully you'll be able to join us there. Our winner is, drumroll please.
Every key, welcome.
Hello, Chris. Congratulations.
Hey guys, wow. Oh my God, that's incredible.
So same question. Tell us a little bit just what you're excited for in the coming year. And if you have an ask, if you have something that you want to put out there for people, whether it's, what you're looking for, what you're looking to do, how people can help you.
Oh my God, I'm just speechless right now. Thank you guys so much for choosing Every Key. To just see something grow from a class, some dumb idea in a class project to something like this and winning these pitch competitions is just incredible. And yeah, as far as what we're doing in the next year, we started Every Key with this vision to replace passwords and keys for your everyday consumer. Now we're obviously taking more of an enterprise and government direction. So if you have any potential introductions to enterprise customers, maybe you work in a company that has password problems. Maybe people are writing passwords on sticky notes and putting them around the rims of their monitors or something. We can help you with that. So
basically every human.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So get in touch. My email is chris.wentz@everykey.com, and I'll put that in the chat right now as well. There you go. So you can reach out to me if you know of anybody that could that could benefit from our technology, or know a company or a government organization that could benefit from our technology. But thank you guys so much. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
You're very welcome. Congratulations again, and we'll see you soon.
Yeah, thanks so much, Chris. Very excited. All right. And for those of you who are following us along and being here today, we really appreciate being here. Hopefully this is not the last time. Maybe it's the first time, and hopefully it's not the last time you're here with us in the Startup of the Year community. If you have, want to continue to find out what's going on, there's lots of different ways to connect, as we mentioned earlier. But if you haven't joined our community yet and you're a startup and you have an idea or you want to get it going, just go to est.us/join, and you can take advantage of different resources, getting involved in the expert advice, the mentoring. We have events like this coming up in the new year. We do have our summit coming up in the new year.
And we're not always dressed so crazy.
No, this is just
a special occasion.
Just to get the holiday spirit going. I don't want you to get the wrong idea, but we like to have fun, and obviously that's part of our kind of
being an entrepreneur is hard, and we like to bring some joy.
Bring some joy. That's exactly right. All right. So yeah, check us out. Also, if you wanted to get our newsletter, we do send it about every other week with lots of updates and new startup opportunities, as well as different things we're doing in the ecosystem with ecosystems for different folks we work with. Just go to est.us and join our newsletter. If you're a startup looking for funding, which I feel like pretty much every startup I ever talk to is, you might want to check out our Startup of the Year Daily Deal Flow, which is a newsletter that goes out to investors. Again, you can just gain access by joining our community by simply going to est.us/join. It's a simple application. And then we do also have podcasts and things out there to help share things, knowledge and things that we learned along the way. Some great interviews recently with different founders and authors and thought leaders over the last several months. We got 100 episodes, so obviously you're not going to consume them all at one time, but I do want you to check them out if you are into that type of thing. So just go to podcast.startupofyear.com. And then, some of these things end up on our YouTube as well if you're into consuming on the YouTube.
And that's where you can hit the subscribe.
Hit the subscribe. We finally get to say it. I don't know if we have a button anywhere, but subscribe and follow those along, because it does give you alerts about upcoming events and things that we'll be doing.
Yes.
So thank you all for spending your time here this afternoon with us and today and supporting these rising startups. Thank you again to our judges and to all the startups that competed. It does take time out of your day, and hopefully you found it to be helpful. And as we look to continue to rise, continue to build these companies and help them rise and raise their profile. So again, thank you. Hope you have a wonderful holiday. Please be safe out there. And if you are thinking about an idea and you're like, oh, I got this idea, I got to get it going. Today is the best day to start up, not tomorrow, not the next day. Get it going, get it started, iterate on whatever that is. And we'll be here to help you if you've got different scenarios where you need help. And along the way, we've got a community that's here to do that as well. So
yes. The world needs your great ideas. Never forget that. Never think, oh, someone else is doing it. You have your own perspective. So start today. And also keep an eye out. As we said earlier, we'll have a big announcement soon. So subscribe, do what you need to do, stay in touch, keep an eye out for our big investment. Have a wonderful holiday, a happy new year, and thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much.
Take care, all.
Happy holidays.